Equity turnover up quite significantly today, 117%, especially because foreign investors are trooping back into the Nairobi Securities Exchange. What are they coming to look for?
Largely today, they were interested in British American tobacco.
Right.
We know their book closure for their dividend is on Friday, so people are trying to get as much as the stock so they can be in for the dividend. But foreigners for the past 2 days have mainly been not dominating turnover. They've been mainly quiet, but today we've seen them come in strongly, and that was a good thing.
Because most of the large cap counters remained largely flat.
Yeah, most of the large cap counters remain largely flat. I mean, KCB, Equity, Safaricom, apart from EABL, which was up slightly, and BAT, which was up slightly, the rest were flat.
What are you thinking about BAT, because which might be attracting all these investors into it?
For right now,
Yes.
I would say it's just the dividends, the first half dividend, interim dividends expected, because you know they just released their results I think a month ago, and it wasn't as good as people expected.
Yes.
And so people are not sure about what's going to happen fully. We don't know whether the earnings from the car truck will come in as strongly. So right now that's just what's happening. But then after dividends book closure, we might see it come down. We might see pressure on the stock and it might come
Because
down.
in fact, BAT was one of the biggest gainers at the market today.
Yeah.
Let's now talk us through some earnings numbers out today. Starting with Scan Group, the marketing services company, PBT is up 11% for the first half, but billings and revenues are both down, and they're not telling us why they're down.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, exactly. We saw PBT up slightly. Billings were down, but revenues actually were up, saying
Yes.
that they get other revenue, not just from billing. But the thing about Scan Group is interesting thing to note is that more people are going directly to these advertising firms. I mean, like going to like the newspapers directly,
Yes.
Other than going through agencies.
And they're bypassing agencies like Scan Group, which is how they make their money.
Yes, because like last week we saw a report by Ipsos which
Yes.
said that while Scan Group increased their market share, going there, most people were going directly to newspapers and to televisions as opposed to going through agencies, because going through agencies was down to 33% compared to 41% last year.
So their commissions are taking a dip.
So their commissions are
The other people in this business is Nation Media Group, whose results are also out this afternoon, just about 2 hours ago. 23.4% jump in profit before tax. What did you make of those numbers?
That was good. I mean, turnover wasn't up as much. I think it was mainly in the single digits.
Yes.
So this was mainly helped by decline in costs, especially now that we know that the shilling has strengthened, and so most of their cost of sales have come down because of that, and the operating costs have been able to keep them on a lead.
So overall, the two things that Nation Media Group, the one thing Nation Media Group and Scan Group have together is the election coming up, which means the increase in advertising spending. For Nation, this might go both ways. If everybody spends a lot of money, it will be a good thing. But if the political situation becomes untenable, both Scan Group and Nation Media Group might lose out.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, with the elections coming in, both of them could benefit from that, with
Yes.
more politicians coming in to just advertise. But I mean, it couldn't go as well for Scan Group if most people are now going directly. So we must hope that for them that they come through the agencies.
Also, Kenya Power today signing that $200 million loan from the World Bank, trying to invest in the grid. A very small population right now has access to power. So the news like this is necessarily taken up well by investors, doesn't it?
Yes, it is definitely taken up by investors. I mean, infrastructure is a very big thing in Kenya, especially because we are very underserved in terms of infrastructure. And when it comes to power, investors are interested in such sectors. And where KPLC is sitting, even at the price of about 15 to 15.50, it's pretty underpriced, yeah. And so we still see scope for the company, and even as they go forward to push down their operating costs.
And there's also news that Umeme, the power utility provider in Uganda, might be coming into this market just to, an interesting one to have a Ugandan company coming into the Kenyan stock market for the first time.
Yeah, it will be interesting to see, and just even at least we can have a better comparison with KPLC, and people can see who is more efficient in terms of distributing power.
Right now, if you ask Kenyans and Ugandans, they're just comparing like for like. The inefficiencies are legendary.
Yeah.
But let's move on to a different thing here. We're expecting Standard Chartered to report results tomorrow, and today Standard actually up 2%, closing at 200 shillings.
Yeah, I think people are expecting good results from Standard. We saw them report strong earnings for first quarter, and so we expect the same to continue through second half, with loans and advances up and customer deposits up. So it's largely good expectations and high expectations for Standard.
And considering what has already been reported, let's say KCB and Equity Bank, which are the other comparisons, Equity, for instance, today, the day's top mover, accounting for 36% of turnover.
Yeah, exactly. Just taking into, Equity Bank didn't release as good as expected results. Yeah, yes. But KCB did very well. So I think Standard, we expect them to do better than KCB, than Equity Bank did. Yes. But let's just wait for tomorrow and see. And
finally, your thoughts on the shilling stable? What's supporting the shilling right now?
MPC didn't meet for August. Yeah, yes. I was actually seeing that they're going to meet in September.
Right.
So a lot of people wait for the MPC direction for them to act in the shilling. So I think this is going to remain largely stable until September, when we're given more direction as to what MPC is taking into account.
Hopefully they'll be cutting rates, given that inflation is dropping.
Hopefully they'll be cutting rates, yes.
Brenda, many thanks.
Thank you.